The future of technology has a name: Cardano. ADA is aiming to do something way bigger than make waves in the world of cryptocurrency. They have their sights on bigger fish. Cardano looks poised to take on the biggest tech and social media companies, along with American voters. Could Cardano be the key to peaceful elections in the future? If ADA investors have their way, then that answer could be a resounding yes. Let's get it. Welcome to BitBoy Crypto. My name is Ben. Every day I show you how to make money in cryptocurrency. If you like money, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, guys, make sure you're following me on social media. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at BitBoy_crypto. On TikTok, you can find me at BitBoy Crypto. In this video, we're going to be discussing Cardano and what its prospects for the future are for investors. In my opinion, this is definitely a coin to be watching over the coming months. But Cardano is one of the few coins I'm watching for the long term, like over the next 10 years. Slow roadmap will be but a fleeting memory several years from now. But first, let's look at where the price is now. Cardano continues to flirt with the top 10 in all of crypto, coming in right now at number 11. The price has gotten pounded over the last 7 days, over 11%. And this has been extremely disappointing for ADA investors, as just recently as 2 weeks ago, price analysts were predicting a big breakout for Cardano. This article, written on October 21st, couldn't have possibly predicted the giant spike for Bitcoin, which has caused the altcoin market to bleed profusely. Instead of a breakout, the last 2 weeks have seen a breakdown in price. However, the explosion coming for Cardano is currently building. When the altcoin market finally takes its turn to pop, no coin is better positioned to reap huge financial gains than Cardano. While back in June and July, with the official launch of the Shelley phase of the roadmap, the price certainly did rise. But have no fear, Cardano investors, the best is yet to come for this project's price. Why do I say that? It's not had a sustained pump since the bull run of 2017, and yet Cardano has still managed to trudge along and remain in the top 10 conversation. When Cardano finally gets that massive run up, it could certainly head straight to the top 5. The ceiling for this project is high. While the Shelley upgrade and fork for Cardano yielded good results in the short term, the next phase of the roadmap is now established. Drum roll, please. Introducing Goguen, another dead guy. We're supposed to know who he is, or was. Byron and Shelley already down. Goguen to go. Sounds like a DoorDash order. But Goguen is a recently dead guy, only dying in 2006. God rest his soul. Joseph Goguen was a computer programmer, professor, and researcher. He had a huge impact on programming languages, and he lived at the same time as you, so he had that going for him. The Goguen era for Cardano means that smart contracts are coming, and many believe that this could be the key for ADA's entrance into decentralized finance. Hopefully, they didn't miss it. LOL. Dang it, I'm not supposed to actually say that out loud. But one thing to keep in mind with the Cardano roadmap is that even though the Shelley era has come to a close and Goguen is becoming the focus now, this phase was already underway. So it isn't starting from scratch. The Cardano roadmap often overlays each other. But what is new is that Cardano has now rolled out its program plan for Goguen. This phase is set to be activated on the mainnet much quicker than the previous Shelley phase, which took longer than listening to your wife read you Frankenstein out loud. Those of you guys lucky enough to get that joke are monsters. It's alive! Goguen is set to be running on the mainnet by the end of February 2021, according to the Goguen-specific roadmap. And watch out Ethereum, because a huge focus of this phase is known as the ERC20 converter. With the ERC20 converter, current ERC20 tokens, which are tokens built on Ethereum, can be ported over to the Cardano network. In mid-December, this converter should be ready to undergo testing. In addition, the MVP, or minimum viable product native token standard for Cardano, should be available by the end of February. Now, Charles Hoskinson is a huge fan of sports ball. Someone forgot to tell Charles Hoskinson that MVP usually is a sports term. How did he miss that? And let's take a moment to celebrate old Hosky's father, who never made him play a single sport growing up. What a legend! Why play for the Falcons when you can play with a falcon? I also have a falcon on my shoulder, but it's a tattoo covering up a worse tattoo I received in Panama City. But choices really do have consequences. Okay, enough with sports though. Back to nerd talk. The Godwin phase is all wrapped up in what is called Marlowe Playground. I don't even know who the heck Marlowe is, but I bet he's dead. Way back on November 1st, Marlowe Playground was released, and it was a big milestone for the Cardano project. Marlowe Playground is the equivalent to a programming sandbox for Cardano, if you will. According to CryptoSlate, the platform, which enables those without programming experience to write and test out smart contracts on Cardano, leverages more than 30 years of history in domain-specific design. With the power of Marlowe Playground, even dumb people can make smart contracts. CryptoSlate went on to declare that this is the first time in history that semantical clarity was established between all participants of a complex system. Long and short of it is that people writing smart contracts, application creators, and the payment solution providers will all be speaking the same language, marking the largest number of people speaking the same language since the Star Trek cosplay convention. But hey, with Cardano, there is a lot to cling on to.
Klingons do not laugh.
I would say I hate myself here with this bad of a joke, but my audience has encouraged me to love myself just the way that I am. Good job, BitBoy. Charles Hoskinson believes that the unification of language is extremely important, as in the future, Bitcoin itself could even have smart contract integration. Maybe. In addition, ETH 2.0 could also help change the landscape. Marlowe Playground could be the key to getting all of these complex dApp building and smart contract ecosystems to communicate with one another at a base level. The Charles in charge of Cardano has been very clear. Other blockchains are not his competitors. Big tech companies like Google and Apple are the competitors that Cardano is focused on toppling. Recent political stress on these tech monopolies from both Republicans and Democrats to make it easier than previously thought to take these companies out. But Google is already laying the stamp of approval on Cardano as they allowed the Project Catalyst governance app for Cardano to go live on the Google Play Store just a few weeks ago. In a world where crypto apps often get rejected, it's a little odd how quickly Google gave the project's app approval and inclusion into the Google ecosystem. The question is, will they regret that decision down the road when Cardano takes them out? Something to think about. Cardano, though, is also looking to position itself down the road in American politics. And we all know how crazy that is right now. Anyone who is firmly implanted in blockchain believes that blockchain voting is going to be the eventual solution for government elections. And why wouldn't it be? It offers immutable, unchangeable ledgers that can be automatically tabulated that would prevent recounts and complications from voting. God only knows how helpful that would be. Charles Hoskinson has stated that the only way we can get our elections back to a place where people actually trust them is through blockchain, specifically via, that's right, Cardano. Charles has never met a shameless plug he didn't like. But hey, if you've invested in ADA, then you gotta love that. He's a one-man marketing machine. I'm writing this before the election, actually, but I'm gonna make a prediction. By the time you watch this, people still will be counting votes in various states. And I'll be honest with you, I don't like it. The election should be over the day that it occurs, or at least within 24 hours. How is it that somehow in 2020, we managed to go backwards when it comes to the expediency of elections? Well, the answer is pretty simple. Anything the government takes part in will run counter to technology, and much more specifically, will move much slower than anything ran in the private sector. Which is probably why Fed Chairman Jerome Powell said that the U.S. is open to receiving help on the digital dollar from private businesses. Interestingly enough, those statements were only made a couple days before Bitcoin spiked. Many believed this was due to the PayPal news, but the Fed statements at the IMF on crypto really kicked off all the Bitcoin noise. Could blockchain voting be implemented by the next presidential election in 2024? I'm going to go ahead and predict that I believe yes, there will be at least some states using blockchain voting by the next presidential election. Will it be the Cardano blockchain? That's anyone's guess at this point. But if that does happen, that could be yet another sign in the stars pointing toward an ADA moon. Let me know your thoughts and ADA price predictions down below in the comments. That's all I got. Be blessed. BitBoy out.